Today's First Alert afternoon weather update is brought to you by Lockhart Roofing.
Good Tuesday afternoon. Welcome in. I'm First Alert meteorologist Diane Phillips hanging out with you today. I hope you've been able to stay dry. We've had some soggy weather and it is just kind of that cool, damp feeling outside. It's also foggy out because of the rain. So we are going to be talking about all the latest in our weather forecast. We are also going to be highlighting what we expect here later this week when we have some more rain that's going to be coming in. So there is still a couple of systems here to first alert you to, and also the temperatures are something else we'll need to talk about. Though they are elevated for now, we are going to find them starting to slide a little bit as we go into the weekend. So let's get started with our pinpoint Doppler. We are going to find that we do have mainly rainfall outside currently. Have been keeping an eye to some of our sensors to kind of see. The sensor in Houghton Lake is just kind of giving us that, ooh, it's precip, but we don't know the variety of it. And very similar conditions in Caro, but a lot of our sensors have been saying rain. And the one in Oscoda is actually kind of saying more kind of a fog and mist is actually reaching to the ground. So we are seeing that we do have some mixed precipitation out there still. But when we look at our pinpoint Doppler, we are finding that we do still have mainly rainfall at this point. We do also have conditions that allow for it to be rain because of those temperatures outside. So we are currently just working with widespread water coming through. Some of that heavier rain is just kind of where we are picking up on some of that yellow. So that's going to be here a little bit closer towards Clio in northern Genesee County. We're also seeing some of that yellow that's been rolling through Saginaw. We're seeing that come in towards Caro, where the sensor's not quite sure on that precipitation type. I'm guessing just because of the rate that it is rainfall at this point, and considering that we have been seeing some rain overall, we are just going to continue to watch for some snow to mix in. That's just been a possibility here to kind of have that rain snow mixture. We've also been watching out for a little bit of glazing here as well. So just kind of keeping in mind that freezing rain is still on the table. We did have a slower start, and we even had some schools that were closed that were positioned along and north of US 10. We also had some delays into the thumb this morning. So we have found that a lot of our roadways have seen some improvements here. When we look at the main highways, so that's going to include 75, 23, I-69, US 127, and US 10, we're finding that a lot of the main roadways are in the green here. So we aren't really seeing too many traffic issues from any glazing or freezing rain being picked up. Zooming in here towards Genesee County, even some of our side streets look to be in pretty good shape. When I was also checking on the MDOT traffic map, I was seeing that there were some slower spots along M21, but those were mainly just signaling some slower speeds. So you may run into just a couple of spots because it is raining that it's just a little bit slower. We're maybe not going above the speed limit today, but that's okay to be safe. Even into the thumb, Tri-Cities and closer towards Mount Pleasant, Ithaca, and Clare. A lot of the green is still holding here on the map, and even coming across our northern counties, we had quite a few slow spots here throughout Gladwin County, coming in closer towards Standish and even into West Branch. But we have a lot of yellow a lot of green as we zoom in. No more yellow is showing up. So we have seen some good improvements on roadways. So still, you could run into some slippery spots, but we are at least seeing that travel concerns are not too much of a problem. And that also kind of aligns with our winter weather advisory. So that did expire at 1 a.m. You are going to find that we no longer have any advisories for mid-Michigan from this system. And those advisories were mainly for freezing rain and some slower travel. So considering we don't have the advisory, we are looking at rain. We're in pretty good shape to kind of keep us on a little more of a wet, rainy kind of afternoon setup. When we look at our temperatures, we are finding though that they did get above freezing. We are though at 33 in Houghton Lake, same for Bad Axe and Port Hope. We're at 33 also at MBS Airport for Saginaw, 35 in Flint. We have 36 next door in Lapeer and Owasso, and in Mount Pleasant we're at 36 and 32 for Bay City. So a lot of us in those low to mid 30s, but it does help that we are kind of sitting right in this zone to hopefully get us switched over to rain. I always kind of get a little bit leery because we still just in the next layer up in the atmosphere can find colder air, so then we can have some varying precipitation types, but we are finding that mainly we are working with some rainfall. Outside, because we do have the rain coming down and we have that snowpack, it is foggy this afternoon. It's been foggy even this morning. So what's kind of working for us is that we have that more moisturized air coming in with the rain. It's also a little bit more mild. So as that warm air kind of glides over the snowpack on the ground, then you kind of get what we call advection fog. So that's going to be where we have this foggy setup. We've kind of had some of this around the holidays where it was just a little bit hazy outside because we had that little bit of a warm up that came through right after the Christmas holiday. So that's kind of how that works, to where you can have kind of this push of warmer air while we still have the cold snowpack on the ground, and then you can have some of those foggier conditions. So our Vehicle City Harley-Davidson camera, sponsored by Wallside Windows, still has some pretty good visibilities. Thankfully, the wind's been moving just enough to where it hasn't really gotten all that dense or thick at the ground level, but you can still see this camera is hazy. And I'll even pull up our Birch Run camera since I have it here. You can also see that it's just hazy as we're looking towards the north. We can still get a good look at the highway. We can clearly see that this is exit 136. So we do have those visibilities, but it's just not crystal clear. It's definitely not a bright or sunny day, and it's also not dry outside. So those visibilities are something that we'll just continue to watch here. When we look at our map, you'll see that a lot of those visibilities are down to about a mile. At lunchtime, when I was talking about this during the news at noon, we were seeing visibilities a little bit closer towards 2-3 miles. So we have seen them become a little bit more dense, but overall we're not seeing them become really impassable or any need for a dense fog advisory. So visibilities and just something to kind of keep in mind, that it should stay elevated for us and that it shouldn't be too much of a problem as we go into the afternoon. But that's kind of where we currently are sitting, where we're just picking up on that rain, and that we are going to be still just monitoring for some mixed precipitation, because we are in that window here this afternoon for us to start to see some snow come in. So you can see that some of that blue is trying to come in. We're also checking sensors. So we're just going to kind of keep an eye to a lot of our cameras, those sensors, to kind of see what we have and what's going on where. Feel free, if you're in the Facebook comments, to let us know what you are seeing outside where you are at, whether it's kind of that freezing rain, or snow that's coming down. So just let us know where you're at and what you're seeing. And that's going to be a pretty big help to kind of let us know what we're working with here for the afternoon. We are going to take just one real quick break. We're still going to be talking about that hour-by-hour forecast, and we're also going to be covering the temperatures and that secondary rain system coming in later this week. So stay tuned. We are still going to be discussing that in about 60 seconds. Welcome back. So we are kind of keeping an eye to the conditions outside. I was just reading through some of the comments that I have. Kathy said in Stanford that they are working through some rain and just that light fog that we have. And then we have a report coming in from Prescott that we're also seeing rain there as well. So that's good to know, considering that's a little bit further north. We've been worried about some glazing and some freezing drizzle there. So happy to see that rain report coming in. Again, if you're watching us on Facebook Live, you can comment there. I don't believe the comments are turned on onto the YouTube. So we are, though, streaming to YouTube. We're also at WNEM.com. So that's another good spot that you can go and join our stream. Also, if you're just on the road or maybe just on the go, we should say, we don't want you going and being non-hands-free behind the wheel. But if you are traveling, that TV5 news app is also a great place to join the live stream. So what we are talking about today is our wet weather. So we are monitoring that freezing rain mainly. That's just been kind of further north. But here this afternoon, we are watching for a little bit of snow to mix in. I'm hoping that we can just keep it rain. It's a little bit easier to manage, but we are going to be talking rain totals potentially about a tenth to even a half inch. Some of these amounts really kind of stacking up here this afternoon, where we've had some of that heavy banding coming in. We do have room to kind of take this on, and even with the snow melt, we shouldn't have too many hydraulic issues. So we should be pretty good with rivers and creeks. Of course, though, keep an eye if you are living in some of those more water work areas that you may just want to keep an eye to how high the water does climb. But overall, we shouldn't have too many issues kind of taking in all of this water. When we look ahead in the forecast, we are going to be finding that we do have the rain that's still going to be pivoting through here. Now, it is going to try to kind of mix in with some snow. We had been talking and kind of watching that here in the forecast. So that's something that we're still going to need to be tracking for the evening commute. So that's what we're going to be watching even through about 5, 6 o'clock here. So if you are maybe going to be meeting for small group, going to dinner with somebody, you are going to continue to see that mixed precipitation possibility to be on the table. Also at 6 o'clock, the sun has set, so that's where we are going to be finding our conditions that do allow for it to maybe get a little bit easier to mix some of that snow in. But we will find that we do have yet a little system that's kind of on the backside that kind of pivots through at night. So this is going to be just kind of that last push, bringing still yet some rain and some snow showers in right around midnight. And once that passes, that's kind of it from this low pressure system. So Wednesday, we are going to be waking up to cloudy skies. Roadways should be very much manageable. No concerns really of a refreeze even during the night. So we will find through much of the day on Wednesday that it is quiet, it's cloudy, not too much happening, kind of a classic winter forecast. It is just a little bit more mild here this week with our temperatures, but no new precipitation. As we go into Thursday, we start out the day quiet. We still have the cloud cover that's hanging around, but we do have some rain chances that are going to come in later into the evening. So here you can see at about 6 o'clock, we kind of have that outer arm of rain that's going to start to come in from the southwest. So the storm is going to be traveling from the southwest. We call it a Colorado low because it kind of forms around the Colorado Rockies. It pivots down into the Central Plains and then it swings back up towards us. So it is able to grab a little bit of moisture from the Gulf as well. So we're going to be watching for rainfall though with this system going into Thursday evening. Looks like it will be a little bit broken, and then we'll just kind of be watching here for the amounts of rain coming in. I'm just kind of dissecting this as well, just coming through at night. Though I am seeing these more vivid colors, I don't really see a severe weather risk in this line either. So we are going to just be looking for more heavy, steady rain at times, and then that's still going to push through until about Friday morning. And then a lot of it will wrap up. So we're actually going to be seeing our better rain chances while we're fast asleep. So by the time we're going to bed, or at least getting settled in for the night Thursday night, and then by the time that we're waking up Friday morning to head out, the majority of the rain will have fallen while a lot of us are inside and while a lot of us are even fast asleep. So we are going to be finding that this one you might be able to just sleep right through it, but we are going to be tracking kind of that as our next weather system. So you will see today that we have that 90% chance of those rain showers coming in, so it's going to be kind of widespread rain that we are tracking. Tomorrow's a dry day, so it's also going to give us time to absorb some of that water before we have that next system coming in. That 50% again is for Thursday night, because that's when we're going to start to pick up that rain, and then that's going to carry into Friday morning. So again, this is mainly going to be a night system. And then what we are watching on Saturday, it starts out as some rain, but it will switch over to some snowfall. So we are going to kind of serve on Saturday a transition day here, because we do have a cold spell that kind of comes in behind it. When we look at our forecasted highs, you are going to be seeing that we're still above freezing. We're forecasting mid to upper 30s, and then we actually have 40s, some big time 40s coming in for Thursday and Friday. But then we do drop down on Saturday, and even going into Sunday, we're only right around 30 degrees. So our warmest days are going to be Thursday and Friday, so those might be some days, especially Thursday afternoon with the temperatures climbing, that while it's still dry, that might be a really good time to get some of those holiday decorations down. But then as we go into Friday, that 47 that we have is actually going to hit in the morning, and then temperatures do fall a little bit throughout the day. So if you're hoping, oh, Friday night we'll still be seeing those 40s, I anticipate we are going to be finding the thermometer showing us numbers that are cooler than 47 degrees when we get to that point into the forecast. Speaking of nighttime temperatures tonight, we are going to be finding our lows falling right around 30 degrees, even getting close to the freezing mark. So still anything that's wet, just kind of keep an eye to roadways, but overall just mainly bridges and overpasses would have the better chance of seeing some slippery roadways. But we are going to be still in a zone where icing can happen. I just want to be aware that it's a possibility, but overall major impacts of freezing up or a flash freeze are not really on the table for us here. So it's just something that we will be watching, but we really won't have too much of a temperature drop that's going to happen all that fast. Plus we will see the rain wrapping up. So that allows us to continue to do a little more drying. Now, when we look at the First Alert 7-day forecast, we are going to be finding that we do have our temperatures that are warming here during the week. So today we are tracking that mixed precipitation, the rain, the snow, some of that freezing rain possibility, those areas of fog as well. Wednesday is our dry day, and then going into Thursday, we have then the evening rain chance that comes through that lasts through Friday morning. We even put that arrow there so you can see that that high temperature is going to be dropping a little bit. And then Saturday, as I mentioned, kind of the transition day, starting with rain, going to snow, and then those snow showers for Sunday. We are keeping Monday dry for now. Of course, we'll be watching that, but some of our overnight temperatures also get out of those teens. We're seeing those back into the 20s and 30s. Well, we have a little bit more of a more mild stretch here for the middle of January, but we are still looking at some cooler trends. So if you're hoping yet for more colder air, we are going to continue to watch that. Even when we do look at some of our ice, because I know some of you may be hoping, yeah, we want some cooler air. We are starting to see some ice across the Great Lakes. We're up to about 14%, so we are still making some ice. However, the quality of it may not be super great. Into the bay, we have a lot of fast ice, so that's why that gray coloring is there for us locally. So it may not be the safest ice to be out on, so just be cautious if you are going to be trying to go and do a little bit of ice fishing. Make sure that you're putting that safety first. Rivers and creeks might have a little bit of a better chance, but considering I have those warmer numbers coming up into the 40s here the next couple of days, that's not going to be really good for making ice. So that means it's going to be tricky for us to get out there and to do some ice fishing. So just be cautious while you are out there on the water. Of course, you can keep an eye to the First Alert weather app to monitor temperatures there. That is free to download. You can get that on the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. So that's going to be also a great tool today to use, because then you can use the radar feature and also have future radar there as well. Plus the 7-day forecast is on there, so you can monitor temperatures for the next week ahead. And plus I even sent a video push alert there ahead of our noon newscast, so you can just always kind of stay updated with the First Alert weather team by keeping that app around. But that is the main highlights of what we are watching here for today. Still for the afternoon, just be mindful that we'll continue to track that rain, some snow showers mixing in, but so far that glazing threat does seem to be on the lower side. I am going to head back over to the comments. See, Caleb did say that it's also foggy in Adrian, so a little bit closer towards the state line, picking up on some of those more foggy conditions. I'm kind of also waiting to see for this to upload and kind of see if any more comments come in here before we sign off for the day. But of course, just be cautious when we do have the fog and the rain. Just have those headlights on. If you're running your windshield wipers, your headlights should be on. I know a lot of us have automatic lights, but not everybody does. I know I actually just saw a car on the highway last night and they didn't have their lights on at all. So once you get out of town, you're definitely going to see that you need those headlights on. So even when it's raining during the daylight, it's always just good to have those on. So make sure that you're being safe, not only for yourself, but other drivers that are out there on the roads as well. Doesn't look like too many other comments are coming in, so I appreciate, though, the few of you that were able to comment and join us here this afternoon. First Alert Chief Meteorologist Chris Eastlick, he's going to be back here tonight at 9 o'clock to give us another update on the stream and continue to track that storm that we have coming up later this week on Thursday night. So don't miss that update from him. But thank you so much for giving me a little bit of your time on this Tuesday afternoon, and we look forward to hanging out with you later on.
Thank you for joining us. Today's stream has been brought to you by Lockhart Roofing.